So it's that time of the week again, weekend preview on Timeform's Facebook Live page, where we look ahead to the racing taking place on ITV this week, and it's a good week, Ben. It's your turn with us. Warwick and Newbury. We'll start off with Warwick, and looks a really good card.
Yeah, it does. There's some good horses that have come out of this card, especially the Kingmaker in recent years, like some Long Run, Finian's Rainbow. One or two others have going back a few years, but it's usually an informative card in general, and certainly the Newbury racing is really, really good. So it's a lot to look forward to, I think. As I realised I said we'd start with Warwick, but I've got Newbury at the top.
We can start with Newbury.
We'll just do Newbury.
Cool.
It'll save me shuffling around.
All right. So the first race. Well, there's only really one issue around the first race, or one talking point that jumps off the page, and that's the return of Barter's Hill.
Yeah.
Big long layoff. He's 7-2 on Friday afternoon. What's your stance with him?
I would be probably looking to take him on, to be honest. I really like the horse, really liked him as a hurdler. Backed him in the Albert Bartlett. He ran a good race, and he's just a real warrior, isn't he? He just goes out in front and just keeps going. He's a really likeable type, and it's a big shame that his chasing career got cut short so soon. Obviously, first his sole start of offences at Cheltenham. The beginning of last season, he was injured, and it was a tendon injury, which they're not lightweight injuries, I don't think. I mean, we're looking. Thistle cracks was a tendon. They were saying a minor tendon, and I mean he's essentially not come back the same horse, has he? So it's no guarantee by any stretch that Barter's Hill's going to be the same horse. So first time up after 400 odd days off, I'm personally going to be trying to take him on, I think. It would obviously, Ben Paulin's an excellent trainer. Wouldn't be surprised if he did win, but at the prices with a fair bit to prove, I thought that I would be looking to back something against him. The one that I liked was Bastion, Alan King's runner. I thought he did well at Wincanton last time. It was a Pertemps qualifier won by Protector Flow. Boit was second. Boit came out and won a race, I think it was at Taunton, a couple of weeks after that, so it looks quite strong form. Protector Flow let the form down himself next time, but I think he's just a bit hot and cold. He's that sort of horse, so I wouldn't take too much notice of that. Bastion actually came down at the final flight there, but he was going to finish a close-up third behind those two. What I liked about the run was the fact that he'd come all the way around the inside of the track, and Wincanton this season, as with a number of tracks, coming around the inside is a big disadvantage because it's just so much worse ground. And I thought that the fact that he came near enough around the inner, there was one or two horses that were probably more inner than he was, but he was still in the thick of the mud, whereas the principals were all out wider on the track. I thought that was a good effort for him to do that. He's still unexposed. He will stay 3 miles. It should suit him based on how he's been shaping up. So I thought Bastion, I think he's around 5-1, 11-2 in places. So that would be my pick in the first handicap.
Okay, so Bastion in the first, and a fun fact, I'm almost certain he won on Timeform Day at Punton last year, so and there might be a Timeform Day theme, because there's another one a bit later on in the card.
Right, okay. I haven't spotted that one.
So we'll jump into the Denman Chase, and just the 3 runners here. It's a bit of a shame, really, but fascinating nonetheless, because we've got Native River, another one who's returning from an absence, up against 2 smart ones in Claddy Dream and Safidura. Yeah,
I mean, I suppose the key thing with Native River is that he hasn't had a setback. He's just been trained around the Gold Cup this season. They've said that last season his aim was the Hennessy, which he obviously won, and then won the Welsh National and this race afterwards, and then ran in the Gold Cup. But last season he was essentially aimed at a much earlier target, so they've decided to bring him back, have this run. It's obviously going to be a prep run. He's not going to be 100%, but I think he'll still be good enough to give the weight away myself. He won a 3-runner race, a renewal of this race last year, beating the likes of Bristol de Mai in behind him, and I think the thing that stuck with me from that race was the way that he made all, and he also the closing sectional that he posted in terms of the actual time of the race. He actually quickened off the front, which is something you don't really give jump horses credit for. You might do, obviously, if it's a flat race, a small field flat race, you think, the horse is quickened, but he actually wound it up, went slow, and then he quickened away from the field, and I think that showed a different side of Native River, really, because before he just looked like an out-and-out go to the front and just hammer them into the ground, but he has got gears as well. I actually fancy him for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I've backed him for that race, so I won't be backing him here at odds on, but I'll be sort of hoping that he puts in a decent performance. He doesn't really have to win to still be a big Gold Cup player, because we know that this is his prep for the Gold Cup. But at the same time, I think Safa de Rue, I think he had a tendon injury as well in the Grand National last time, so he's definitely been off with an injury. Cloudy Dream, I'm not sure really wants 3 miles, so it's not going to be a strongly run 3 miles, so he might well get away with it and run really well. But I think Native River will win. It's not a betting race for me, but I like him for the Gold Cup. If anyone's thinking about backing him for the Gold Cup, I think he's still 10-1 now in a couple of places. You get that. Even if he wins, even if he doesn't win very well, or even if he comes second, it's not really going to move, I don't think. And if he wins well, he'll probably come into 7s or so, just because look at the Gold Cup market, so many of them have got question marks, haven't they? That if he just comes there on the back of a solid run, then he's probably going to be right up there in the betting. So I think Native River will win that, but I'm not backing him on the day.
Okay, so Native River in the Denman Chase, and another intriguing 3-runner race in the Game Spirit, or the Betfair Exchange Chase, with Altior obviously coming back, another one coming back for an absence, up against Politolog, who has had a great season so far. Yeah,
this is a really good race. I think, I don't know, I wouldn't be smashing into Altior at the sort of prices he is, to be honest. I know he was very, very impressive when he won this last season. He beat Fox Norton by 13 lengths. Fox Norton then went on to finish second in the Champion Chase and then win 2 Grade 1s, one at the Aintree Festival and one at the Punchestown Festival. So that's obviously just unbelievably strong piece of form. But he is coming back again. Is like the previous race. He's coming back. He's had some sort of problem and he's going for his big target. He won't be 100% here, and I think Politolog is very likely to be 100%, and he will give him a race. There's £10 between them on Timeform ratings. I can see this being really close. I'm not going to have a bet in the race. It's not really my sort of bet, but I would not be at all surprised if Politolog did turn over Altior here. Okay. And I think if you were going to have a bet, I think you can get 7-4 Politolog. I think that would make more appeal to me if you said to me, I've got a free tenner to put on this race. That Politolog would make more appeal at the prices than Altior. But really, it's a race to enjoy, isn't it? Because it's a really good spectacle. We've got 2 proper Grade 1 2-mile chasers whizzing around Newbury, so it should be really good.
Do you think whoever wins will automatically become the one to beat at Cheltenham, or do you think there are others in the Champion Chase? I can easily see Altior being beaten here and still winning the Champion Chase, because he might well be 80% or something like that for this. Nicky Henderson's very good at bringing them to the boil on the day, and Politolog here is going to be 100%. Altior's going to be probably 80 or 85. I'd imagine. I've got no idea how to train a horse, but that's what I'm thinking anyway. So it will probably have an impact. If Altior gets beat, he will drift a bit, but I still think that he could easily get beaten in this and still win at Cheltenham. Okay, so fascinating race there, and we go from two really tactical races to one that could be carnage in the Betfair Hurdle. One of the hottest handicaps of the season. It's 26 set to go to post. You could make a case for 10, 11, 12. And I mean, 2 that I saw that jumped off the page at the top of the betting were Jenkins, who they seem to have finally got a tune out of him, and then you've got a smart novice in Kalashnikov running off 141. What's the sort of angle for you here? Yeah, I mean, firstly, I don't think there'll be a more competitive handicap run this season, full stop. And like even at the festival, I think this still looks more competitive than the likes of the Coral Cup to me. I mean, look, it's as competitive. I think it might even be more competitive than that. It's a brilliant turnout, and I'm glad that other races outside of the big festivals are being sort of supported, because it deserves it. It's a big load of money on offer, 155 grand. It deserves a big field, and it's definitely got one. There's plenty of quality. As you mentioned, Kalashnikov, I think he's probably going to be really good. He's going to be a Grade 1 horse at some stage, I think. Whether this is just a little bit early in his career and it's going to be a big hustle and bustle, he's running fairly small fields, and when he has run in a bigger field, he's essentially been just far too good for everything else in that field in novices.
So that inexperience is against him, but I do really think he's an interesting prospect in the future. The other thing with him is, got to remember, it's good to soft-ish ground now, I think, but they are having, it might even be soft now, I think they had rain overnight, didn't they, and they're due more rain, plenty of rain in the afternoon, so bear that in mind if you're having a bet. It's probably going to soften up quite significantly, I imagine, if the forecast is sort of correct. I think from about 12 onwards it's supposed to bucket down. So Kalashnikov, that'll be the thing with him, really, the ground. He didn't seem to really relish the softer ground in the Tolworth last time, and I think certainly his connections, Amy Murphy, his trainer, seemingly thinks that better ground will suit him better, and I can see why. He's a big, sort of powerful, good mover. So maybe spring ground might be the best for Kalashnikov. The other ones that sort of caught my eye, Waterlord, I think he is very interesting off a mark of 135. He ran in the Rossington Main last time on really bad ground at Haydock. He was better than the result. He tried to take on First Flow that day. He sort of tried to give him a race from the front, and First Flow just obviously saw him off and then absolutely bolted up. And I mean, he looks a serious tool, First Flow. But I think Waterlord, from this sort of mark, mid 130s, that's definitely lenient enough on what he's done. The other thing with Waterlord is, it's probably not going to be sort of Haydock bad ground here tomorrow. It's going to be, we're probably going to be looking at soft ground, maybe soft heavy, but it's not going to be completely bottomless like Haydock is. And he's been doing a lot of his racing around Haydock, and he is flatbred by Cape Cross. So there's a big chance, and also his bumper form for John Ferguson a couple of seasons ago. He's on really quick ground, so there is a chance that he will improve for a bit better ground. I'm not saying it's going to be lightning quick at Newbury, but it's probably going to be less of a slog, which might well suit him. So I think that there's loads of others. Irish Row, I think that one's well in. Handicapper says that one's well in. After a good second to Maria's Benefit in a mare's race last time, that's probably good form. Maria's Benefit's a really likeable and progressive mare. You've just got, there's just so many. I wouldn't rule out the likes of Silver Streak either. Could go on forever. Verdana Blue as well is a horse in focus for us. So I'm personally going to have a few quid on Waterlord. It wouldn't be anywhere near a confident bet because of the competitiveness of the race, but I think that a little bit better ground might suit him, and I'm sure he's well handicapped. It's just whether he's well handicapped enough to win this sort of race. Yeah,
it's a staggering field when you see the likes of Charlie Parks and Moonracer at 33-1.
Yeah,
you start to understand. I mean, they both have a lot to prove, but anything could happen tomorrow.
It's really an excellent race.
Okay, so we'll switch over to Warwick, and a handy card there as well, starting with the 205, which is a mare's hurdle. I spotted that Glenn's Melody won this a couple of years ago en route to winning that hurdle race that cost everyone a few quid, I think. Paddy Power fell. So this time around, 2 midnights, one Midnight Tour and Midnight Jazz. They're top of the market. Where are you looking here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely against Midnight Tour because she is fairly ground dependent, and her better form is definitely on a sounder surface, and although it's going to be better ground here than it was last time at Kempton, they are forecast rain again. They're going to get rain probably around the same time from maybe 11 onwards, right up till racing, and even through racing it's going to be raining at Warwick according to the forecast. So that rain would definitely count against Midnight Tour, I think. If you can just look at a record, and none of her best runs are on proper soft and heavy ground, I don't think. The two, Midnight Jazz, just touch on her, I'm not really sure of her this season. She was really disappointing at Ludlow, very easy to back, and just ran no race. Then she ran okay last time with cheap pieces on. Those are retained today. I'm just not completely convinced by her at the moment, for whatever reason, and certainly at 2-1 or whatever she is, she's right at the top of the betting. So it might well be worth having a look at something a bit bigger. I thought that Le Mans Odyssey will probably run okay, but she does arrive here on the back of a fall last time, and she's a little bit in and out, but she'll go on heavy ground, the soft and heavy ground really well. Le Mans Odyssey. The two that I sort of took note of at the early prices were Maria's Legend and Wallstone 1. They both come from the same Doncaster handicap, so they'll both need to improve. There's no doubt about that at this sort of level. But Wallstone 1 won that with a bit in hand, and she's progressing quite nicely for a yard. Emma Lavelle, who are going really well. Maria's Legend, I got the impression that run in behind Wallstone 1 was very much getting back on track, having fallen the time before that. And I was at Doncaster that day and saw her in the paddock, and she's really is a very impressive physical specimen. I mean, she didn't take to chasing. She doesn't seem to be able to jump fences very well at the moment, but she's absolutely huge and strapping. So ploughing through a bit of bad ground at Warwick should be right up her street, I imagine. She's got Harry Skelton taking over, which is a positive, a jockey uplift on our database. I think she'll get a positive ride. She will have to improve, there's no doubt about that. She's going to have to improve about, if Midnight Jazz runs to her mark, she's probably going to have to improve maybe even a stone or so. But she's not had that much racing, so I think those two, Mariah's Legend and Wallstone 1, I would give them just a few quid at big prices in that race.
Juicy 28-1, Mariah's Legend, 11 Wallstone 1.
Yeah.
So onto the Kingmaker Novices Chase, as you say, won by some decent horses in recent years. We've got an odds on Jolly here in St Calvados, but it looks a decent field here, just the 4 runners. But even Drumcliff at 20-1, you must be able to make a case for.
Yeah, this is a good race. I can see why St Calvados is so short in many ways. He's not the sort of horse. He's usually the sort of horse I would probably like to take on. A horse stepping into graded company, having been an impressive handicap winner of a small field on his last start. Usually, odds on, you're thinking, there's got to be something in here. But I think I backed the second that day, Tree of Liberty, in that Newbury race, and I was pretty convinced that Tree of Liberty was on a good mark, and I think that he is when he does not come up against something like St Calvados. St Calvados just absolutely destroyed him, and that was really, really impressive. You can pick holes in the form because it's a small field, and that is what we try and do as a punter. You try and find form that doesn't look, that maybe looks better than it is, but this is I think is looks like an absolute monster, St Calvados, and he's got that prominent racing, bold jumping, strong travelling style that really, really suits Warwick. I can see him doing similar to the likes of American did there last season when he whizzed round there. I can see him just basically going out in front and not coming back, and he's getting weight from all of them as well. So it's a bit boring, but I do think he'll be hard to beat, St Calvados.
Okay, so St Calvados there, and one to go. Quite a competitive handicap chase here with the top 2 at the market. Calmore Lock, who ran a good 5th in the Clarence House, and then Value at Risk, the other Timeform alumni, won a race at Bangor.
Yeah, I do remember that actually. I mean, Value at Risk is seemingly put in a bit of a better effort last time to win over hurdles, and there was more substance to his finishing effort than certainly he'd shown or been showing for a couple of seasons, because he'd been quite disappointing. He looks like he'll make a nice chaser, but he hasn't really. He's had a lot of sort of weak finishes and things like that just, maybe he's had a physical problem, maybe he's over that now based on what he did last time, and he is well handicapped. He's £8 lower than what he ran off last time over hurdles, so can see why he's up there. At the same time, as I was saying with St Calvados in the previous race, that style, that Warwick style, can really see Calmore Lock being suited to this. He's going to be prominent, he's going to jump well, hopefully better than he did at Cheltenham, because that was what was his undoing. He's usually a good jumper. He was let down by one really bad mistake in the Bet Victor Gold Cup when he was sent off a well-backed favourite from £3 higher than this on his return. But I can see him in this smaller field just pinging away, and I think he'll be really suited to the track and a bit of soft ground. And like I say, £3 lower. He was on. Many people thought he was well handicapped going into that Bet Victor Gold Cup, based on a piece of form at Cheltenham last season. I think he'll be pretty hard to beat, to be honest. Here, I am probably going to back him, even though he's 3-1. It's not. Again, it's not inventive. But I think if you look at Cogri, he's probably had his day this season. He ran won at Cheltenham, didn't he, under a really good ride. Temple Hill's won this last year, but he's had jumping issues since, and he didn't look very straightforward last time. Couple of them are pretty out of form, so I think it could boil down to being between the front couple in the market, Carmorlock and Value at Risk. And I've still got some reservations about Value at Risk being maybe a little bit flimsy somewhere. So Carmorlock, I think, will be hard to beat.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Ben.
Okay, cheers.